Hello and welcome everybody to the very first masterclass that I have actually ever run for free. So I thought I'd try something a little bit different to say thank you and give back to the Leanne nutrition community. So thank you so much for joining me. Let's launch into today's masterclass, which is for busy women who want to lose weight and actually keep it off. So if that's not you, you're probably in the wrong masterclass. If that is you, welcome. Thank you for giving up your Sunday morning and chatting with me. I know we've got a few people tuned in from all around the world. We had some technical difficulties on Wednesday night, so this is a smaller webinar, and a lot of people were tuning in on the Wednesday night, which has been postponed to the next Wednesday night. But if you are coming from either session, welcome, and we'll kick off today. So basically what we're hoping to cover in today's webinar is essentially why fat loss plans don't work in real life. So I'm not going to talk about calories today. I'm not going to talk about protein today. I'm not going to talk about recipes today. I'm really going to go through some of the psychology behind fat loss, because that is what I find holds so many busy women back, right? It's not so much that we don't know what to do. It's actually implementing that and being consistent with that long-term enough to see results. That is what so many women struggle with. So over the next 60 minutes on this lovely Sunday morning, or actually it might be a different time depending on where in the world you're tuning in from, but if you are in Australia, over this next sort of hour on our Sunday morning, we're going to talk about why fat loss plans only work on what we call real life weeks. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong. It's because most plans are built for what we call a perfect life. And that just isn't the reality for so many busy women. Now we're going to build a simple framework for you that's going to allow you to stay consistent and carry you through the busy, crazy weeks, basically. We're also going to touch on how hormones and gut health and emotional eating can affect your progress as well. Not to use them as excuses, but to actually use them as practical factors that can influence things like your hormones, your sleep, your hunger, your cravings, and absolutely your consistency at the end of the day as well. And then you're going to learn what I call my tired plan concept, or my tired day concept, which is basically the game changer to keep you consistent through the tired, busy, crazy days and through the weekend where so many of us fall off track with that nighttime eating or that weekend eating as well. So I'm really going to show you what to focus on first to get the most bang for your buck, or to get the most, I guess, momentum and consistency to really kick you off and get you started in terms of this fat loss journey. Because the reality is that we know that so many women have a goal of losing weight, particularly in January. We're all really motivated, those New Year's resolutions, but the reality is by end of January, February even, most of us have completely fallen off the wagon and we're back to where we started. So we're not talking about strict diets or cutting things out or even how many calories you should be eating today. If you are somebody who doesn't really know how much food they should be eating, how much protein, what your macro spread should be, if that's what you want to learn, that is something that requires a personalized consult. So jump online, go to leannewardnutrition.com.au and check out the virtual clinic. You can book an appointment with my team of dietitians from anywhere in the world, and they will help you personalize your nutrients, your calories, your requirements to you. Basically today, like I said, we're going to be talking about more of the psychology behind fat loss and the behaviors and the systems that actually allow you to lose weight long term. So, who am I? I think most of you have been following me for quite a while. Some of you are OG followers. I think I'm like 13 or 14 years online now. Some of you have been following me nearly that entire time. But I am a busy mum. I've got two little girls, Mia and Matilda. They are 4 and 2.5, so they're only little. I run multiple businesses. I'm a podcaster, I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I love helping women lose not only body weight in a sustainable and safe way, but also optimizing their hormones, optimizing their gut health, and working through what I call that emotional eating or that non-hungry eating, and helping them do it in real life. Because that's the key. Anybody can give you a plan and be like, see you later. And if you stick to that plan perfectly, of course you're gonna lose weight. Like 99.9% of people would. But the reality is that life gets in the way and we fall off the wagon, or we go off the plan, or we go out and we socialize, it's somebody's birthday, we've had a bad day at work, we leave our lunch at home on the bench, we get to work and we're like, what do I eat now? My meal prep's still sitting at home on the bench. So it's all of those real life factors that hold so many of us back. And that's what we're actually going to learn today. And the reason that I teach fat loss this way is in that sort of health coaching realm where I use evidence, I use science, I use what I've learned from thousands of women over a decade of doing this. And I know that because not only do I want them to lose weight, I want them to keep it off long term in a way that feels good for them, in a way that they enjoy, in a way that they can actually maintain long term. And gives them that confidence to actually live in a body that they choose. Because to me, that's one of the greatest blessings, is to live in a body that feels, you're confident, you're strong, you're healthy, you're nourished, and you know how to take care of those emotions on those busy days as well. So that's a little bit about me and why I do what I do. The framework that I'm going to teach you today, the fat loss framework for busy women, this comes from Lean Gut Mind Method, or LGMM. So this is basically my premium coaching program for women. We work with clients all around the world. We've been running this for over a decade now, and it is the most premium coaching fat loss program for women in the world, basically. So what we're going to learn today is some of the key principles from Lean Gut Mind Method and a very simple starting structure that you can basically apply today. Even though it's Sunday, we're not going to wait till Monday, that you can apply today to really get some results and get some traction. Because like I said, even when life is busy and messy and crazy, you can still make progress, or at the very least, you can maintain your great results. You don't have to go backwards and constantly feel like you're restarting over. So within Lean Gut Mind Method, that is where we tailor the plans for your requirements, your medical background, your genetics, your exercise, all of that kind of thing, your body, your lifestyle. We provide daily coaching and accountability as well. And of course, we incorporate strategies for hormones and gut health and non-hungry and emotional eating as well. So basically today we'll learn an approach to the fat loss framework basically, but Lean Gut Mind Method is where we truly make that stick, and we give you that regular accountability to move you forward week through week, month through month as well. And on the left here, you'll see the photo of the Lean Gut Mind Method team. So these are all the ladies, all dietitians who coach with me, all very experienced. We don't have any new grads in the team. We work with clients all around the world to get them fabulous results, no matter what their background is, no matter what their medical condition is, no matter what their struggles are. We've had so many people say, well, I can't lose weight. It's my hormones, it's my age, I've got big bones, all of those things where they feel like they've never been able to gain traction long term. We can actually help them. I have a whole team of dietitians. We specialize in many, many different things. And these ladies are, they're the OG. They're the Lean Gut Mind Method coaching team, and they're very, very wonderful at what they do. So before we kick into the fat loss plan today, I wanted to quickly mention this cycle, which I'm sure that many of you are very familiar with, because I myself was stuck in this cycle for a really long time. Because when it's easy, you start again on Monday, you're motivated, things are going really well, but then, as I said, you miss your lunch one day, you've got to go out to a work meeting or something, you come home, you've skipped the gym, you're not motivated, and things just feel so much harder by Thursday or Friday than they did by Monday or Tuesday. But I need to stress to you that it's not you, right? You're not lazy. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not because you're not motivated enough. It's not because you're broken or you need to try harder. The reason that fat loss isn't working for you is because you're building your plan for a perfect day. You're not building your plan for real life. So this should say today. This was built for the webinar on Wednesday. Tonight we fix a plan. Today we fix a plan. We're going to basically break that start again Monday cycle and teach you a fat loss framework that actually still works in the busy, crazy weeks. The weeks where we have social events, the weeks where we're super stressed, the weeks where the kids are tired or the partner has to stay late at work, or you've just got these crazy routines. This is where the fat loss plan has to work. So this is what we're actually going to do and build with you today. Now, as I touched on in the last slide, this is basically one of the biggest truths that I want you to walk away from today is that your fat loss plan will only work on a perfect week if you've got tons of energy and you're really motivated and things are really easy and the kids are doing exactly what you want them to do and you've had a really great sleep and the meal is really easy to put together. But the reality is that real life often happens when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're busy, when you've had a crap night's sleep, when you've got deadlines that are building up, and when you've got nothing but some limp spinach in the back of your fridge. And if that is what it takes to derail you, me too. Like, you're only human. Do you know what I mean? And then the plan collapses and we feel demotivated. We feel like we've failed and we're constantly starting again on Monday. But this is not a discipline problem. This is not a you problem. This is a design problem and it requires a little bit of structure. The solution isn't more motivation. The solution isn't to try harder. The solution isn't, oh, maybe I need to make another recipe I saw on TikTok and that will help me. That's not the solution. The solution is to create a little bit of structure on those busy, crazy weeks, because if the plan only works if you're, motivated and not tired and having a great week, it's not really a great plan. It's never actually going to stick long term. So let's build a plan that actually does work. But before we do that, we quickly need to talk about the diet loop, because second to the starting again on Monday cycle, this is another loop or cycle that busy women get stuck in. And again, I myself was constantly, perfect Monday to Friday is this good little dietitian. And then I'd get to Friday and I was like, I deserve a treat. I've been so good all week. And then basically what happens is we tend to overly restrict. We're super good Monday to Thursday or Monday to Friday, but we feel really restricted. Therefore, we're craving a lot of things. We end up, when we're tired, demotivated, we've had a busy week, we end up having a little, that then turns into a blowout. Then we feel pretty guilty and then the cycle repeats itself. So it's that restrict, crave, binge or blowout, and then repeat that cycle. So the start again on Monday is often linked into that diet loop cycle as well. And so I think it's to break the cycle, we need to break that restrictive craving kind of pattern. And to do that, we need to look at some of the underlying hormonal and emotional and behavioral kind of factors that feed into fat loss as well. So we're going to break that cycle. This one, the start again on Monday, and the fat loss cycle, or the failing the fat loss cycle, today when we build your plan for real life. Because, as I mentioned before, this is the standard that most women are unknowingly holding themselves to, right? It is a plan that only works when they are at their best. But your plan shouldn't work when you're at your best. It needs to work on your hardest days, not the easiest ones. Because when you are tired and when you are overloaded, 4 predictable things happen. The first one is that decision fatigue rises. You've already made hundreds of decisions that day. If you are working and you have small children, you've probably made thousands of decisions that day already. So by the time it gets to like 6 p.m. at night, you do not have the brainwidth or manpower to make any more decisions. So that decision fatigue is at an all-time high. Your hunger becomes unplanned. You might accidentally skip breakfast, have a lunch that's too light, or basically just say to yourself, I've got this meeting, I've got to get this done, I'm going to push through. And then by the time it gets to mid-afternoon or early evening, just before dinner, like you basically lost control because your cravings and your hunger is at an all-time high. The third thing that tends to happen when you're tired and you're overloaded is that cravings hit harder, particularly at nighttime. Nighttime cravings, we're going to talk about this today. It's one of the reasons that busy women really struggle with fat loss as well, because that body wants that quick energy. It wants that dopamine hit. It wants that instant relief. So when you're feeling tired and snacky and crazy, it's very easy to get into that kind of, oh, well, screw it, I'll start again on Monday cycle. And the last one is that convenience wins. Again, when you're tired, when you're overloaded, and you've got, say, salmon and salad in the fridge, and your partner says to you, oh, I'm so exhausted, should we just get Uber Eats? Of course you're gonna say yes. You know what I mean? Or the kids like, we want pasta, we don't want salmon. Of course you're just gonna make pasta for dinner because it's the easiest thing. Convenience will always win. So we are gonna build a fat loss framework for you today that also works around convenience, because yes, you can cook everything from scratch. And growing up, my mum would make her own tomato sauce. She would make her own jam. She would make all of these things from scratch. And still she says to me, like, here, I've got some ripe plums for you. Why don't you make some plum jam? And I'm like, Mama, like I've never made jam in my life. I know she has great intentions, but I just do not have time in my day to make everything from scratch. So It's all well and good to think, oh, we want to be eating the cleanest foods in the whole world. Yes, we want to make everything from scratch. But at the end of the day, sometimes convenience wins. Sometimes the quick and easy option is the best option for you. So letting go of some of that perfectionist thinking when it comes to our diet can actually be really, really helpful for a lot of busy women, because there's succeeding and then there's trying to be perfect. And if you're trying to be perfect, you're basically just setting yourself up to fail already, because humans aren't perfect. So sometimes relying on convenience or quick and easy options is actually a really good thing. Oh yes, and another quick reminder, it's not you. You're not tired, or you probably are tired, but you're not broken. It's not a willpower problem. It's not a motivation problem. You need a little bit more structure in your day. You don't need to be stricter. You don't need to be better. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just exhausted and you need a plan that works on the tired days as well. So this is the framework for fat loss that fits in real life. And before, I get a lot of people who say to me, what would you know? You've never been overweight. And I can appreciate that. But I've also had 2 little kids in my mid-30s and have lost the baby weight twice, 15 to 20 kilos twice. This is me, pictures of me with Tilly going through a fat loss phase using my own Lean Gut Mind method principles. I was 34, baby number 2, running 3 businesses. It was hard. I was busy, but I also used a simple framework that I'm going to teach you today that works in the busy, crazy days as well. So why or when fat loss sticks, it's not because you magically found the perfect plan. It's not because you magically became more disciplined. It's because the framework actually works in real life. And what this framework consists of is structure, anchors, and a plan for cravings and emotional eating, because they are the 3 biggest reasons that I see women failing when it comes to fat loss, is that there's no structure. It's either complete rigidity, like 100% on plan until you're 100% not, until you're falling off the wagon. There's no in between. You don't have your anchors, and we're going to talk about anchors later, and you don't have a plan to actually take care of your emotions, take care of your body, nourish, what I call nourish your soul. I know it sounds a bit corny, but sometimes the body is actually just looking for nourishment. It may or may not need to come from food. So we're going to touch on things like cravings and emotional eating as well. And over the next few slides, we're going to break down this structure so you can actually begin to use this immediately. But I'm hoping that for some of you, this is resonating a little bit. It may or may not be what you thought you signed up for, but I can guarantee you that for 90+% of you, it's probably exactly what you need to hear. You don't need to be told how many calories you need to eat. You don't need to be told, oh, just make this other recipe or try this program or go and start this gym challenge and you'll feel more motivated. That's not what busy women need when it comes to fat loss. What we need is a little bit more structure in our day without being too structured that we then feel restricted and we want to blow out or rebel against the plan. We need a few anchors, particularly at nighttime and over the weekend, and we need a plan for the tired, busy days as well. That is simple, that is consistent, and that is sustainable. And that is how we can actually achieve fat loss. And the last thing I want you to think about is actually giving yourself enough time to reach your results as well. Because in these photos, that was about, I think from memory, 7 or 8 months. And that for some of you might probably seems like a really long time. For some busy mums, it might seem like a really quick time. But the reality is that most of us say, oh, I want to lose 10 kilos in, I don't know, like a 6-week gym challenge. We just actually don't give ourselves enough time to achieve those goals. Or in the first week, we see, a kilo or so off, and then we expect to still see a kilo every single week, even in the busy, tired weeks where the reality is we know we probably haven't exercised enough, we probably haven't slept well enough, and we probably haven't had enough time to really, meal prep or prepare some of those nourishing options. So actually giving yourself enough time, like if you have a goal of 3 to 5 kilos, give yourself a couple of months. If you've got a goal of about 10 kilos, give yourself 3 to 6 months. If you've got a goal of 10 to 20 kilos, we're probably talking 6 to 12 months, and 20 plus, 30, 40, 50 kilos is probably going to take you a couple of years. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reason why we trip ourselves up so much is that we want that instant gratification. We want it now. We're so used to a culture where we want something for dinner, we jump on Uber Eats, we want a date, we jump on Tinder, we want to watch a new movie. We can probably stream it faster than we can get to the cinemas to watch it. We're so used to having everything we want right now that it can kind of backfire on us, particularly from a fat loss perspective, because a realistic achievable amount of fat loss for most busy women is probably only about anywhere between 200 to 300 to about 500 grams a week. So you can see that it can take a long time. Some weeks you're not going to lose anything. Other weeks you might actually regain a little bit. But what we don't want to do is continuously lose it, regain it, lose it, regain it, right? We can have busy, crazy weeks, but we learn to push and we learn to pause. We learn to push and we learn to pause. We lose a little bit and then we pause. So we're still maintaining the results, but we're not completely going back and restarting over. And that's what happens to a lot of busy women. Or if we're following a very strict program or anything like that, we might lose a couple of kilos and put them back on again. We might do this gym challenge and lose 8 to 10 kilos, and then the minute the challenge is over, we go celebrate with a pizza party and beers and stuff, and we put on a couple of kilos in that first week that the challenge is done. So if you're gonna do it right and do it sustainable and give yourself enough time. If you just want to lose 5 kilos, give yourself a whole year. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? If you want to lose 20 kilos, give yourself a couple of years, but make sure that you are making progress towards those goals. You know, if you've got a goal of losing 20 kilos, you probably didn't put it on in 12 weeks. Therefore, you need to be realistic and give yourself enough time to actually get that off and actually enjoy the journey as well. Because if you're going to be in a calorie deficit and achieving fat loss for 6, 12, 24 plus months, you actually need to enjoy the journey, because you'll burn out far sooner. You'll basically revert back to what you were doing and the results will never actually stick. So this is the fat loss framework that I'm going to teach you today, this simple structure that we can start to use. So step 1 is to build what I call your entire day plan. So this is basically the foundation of everything. If we don't build your entire day plan, we're basically starting on the back foot. This is a plan that you use when you're not at your best self. And this is probably me more days than I like to admit. And probably for a lot of busy women, that's you as well, right? It's the days that we're tired, the days that we just didn't have a good sleep, the days that we probably stayed up scrolling a little bit too late, the days that we're stressed, we're busy, we're short on time, we just actually can't be bothered cooking. Like some days I'm just like to my husband, I just can't be bothered making dinner. And I think it's okay to admit that, and it's okay to rely on those convenient options, but they have to still be in line with your goals. So this entire day plan, it's not about perfection. It's a default that you can repeat so that you're not constantly making food decisions all day long or all week long. So basically the goal of a entire day plan is to reduce decision fatigue. You already know what to do. You just don't want to have to negotiate with yourself at 4 p.m., at 5 p.m., at 6 p.m., at 8 p.m., at 10 p.m. You don't want to be constantly thinking about food all day or constantly negotiating with yourself about food all day, because that is what will wear you down, and that is where you'll get into that like screw it mode. Let me just eat the pantry. It's 8 p.m. I'll start again tomorrow. I'll start again on Monday. So this entire day plan has to remove decision fatigue. It basically answers the most important question: what can and will I do on the hard days? And the goal is to make the easy choice, the good choice, the easy choice. And we're going to talk about how to do that. So the first step in building your entire day plan is to have a protein first breakfast. And you might think, shocking, revolutionary, no one's ever told me to eat more protein before. But there's telling someone something and there's actually doing it consistently. And I know that I would say probably 90+% of you on this webinar probably know you should be eating more protein throughout the day, but particularly at breakfast. But probably a lot of you aren't actually actioning this. It's one thing to know it, but it's one thing to action it and be consistent with it. A protein first breakfast, ideally with fiber, is one of the best and easiest ways for busy women to actually make sure that their appetite is controlled, their cravings are controlled, and their energy is good, basically for the rest of the day. So the goal is, in my experience for most busy women, about 25 to 35 grams of protein at breakfast, plus some fiber, plus some fresh food. It's amazing how many women can go nearly all day and not eat anything what I would call fresh, like a fresh fruit or a fresh vegetable. Basically everything's coming out of a packet or a box, and that's no shade, but again, if we can incorporate a little bit of fresh food into the day, we're just going to feel so much better. We're going to get more nutrients, antioxidants in, and again, a lot of people, that protein target works for most busy women. You might be an anomaly, an outlier, I get it, but you know, less than about 25 grams of protein at breakfast probably isn't enough. More than about 40 grams of protein at breakfast, probably not needed. Like too little is not a good thing, too much is not a good thing either. So again, if you need practical implementations of this, I've got a lot of recipes on my Instagram. You can book an appointment with my team, but that is kind of like the goal to aim for as your first default, because as I said, it is basically going to set you up for the day. A good protein first breakfast, it doesn't need to be complicated. It can be some cottage cheese on toast with some tomatoes and some salt and pepper. It can be a scoop of Designed by Dietitian's protein into a smoothie with a bit of chia seeds for a bit of fiber, with a banana for a bit of fresh food and a handful of spinach and some berries. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can also be repeatable. You can eat the same thing for a few days in a row. Most of you know that I'm a big fan of meal prep. There's nothing wrong with it. I know I have some clients who are like, I could never eat the same thing every day, or not every day, but 2 or 3 days in a row, then swap it out. And again, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that as we get through this masterclass, but I think we just need to make it easy and we need to make it repeatable to actually reduce the likelihood of us basically blowing out or not doing it, essentially. Because as I said, the goal isn't perfection, it's a repeatable default. So a default number, or the number one strategy, is a protein first breakfast, because it really does set the tone for the rest of the day. Default number 2 is a planned afternoon snack. Most people do lunch and dinner pretty well, but it's the protein at breakfast that we lack, and it's the afternoon snack that tends to send us sideways. And I like this visual. I just pulled some pictures off Google. I'm not a huge fan of the processed red meats. I'm sure a lot of you know that there's some strong evidence that too much of that can increase your risk of things like bowel cancers. So basically ignore the salamis and the cabanas in this photo. But I do like the focus on freshness. I do like the focus on protein, and I do like the focus on fiber. I would rather my client ate 300 calories in an afternoon snack, and some people might think, oh my gosh, that's so many calories, but it basically can help to set the tone for the rest of the afternoon and the evening, so that you're not then eating 800 calories in a chocolate block at after dinner at 10 p.m. at night. So fueling well throughout the day can actually be so much better for your hormones and for your energy and for your cravings as well. So the goal is to arrive at dinner hungry but calm, and not famished and ravenous and like, oh my gosh, I've got to eat everything in sight. Or what happens to most busy women who skip afternoon tea or who go too light, they might have a green tea and an apple. It's not enough. Or they might have, a little packet of rice crackers with a little bit of hummus or something. It's just not enough. It's not balanced. There's not enough fiber there. There's not enough protein there. There's not enough whole food there. Or a little mini protein bar. Yes, it's got protein there, but it's like this big. Like it's gone in 2 or 3 bites. It's just not enough sustenance to see you through. So then by the time you get home, you're either knee deep raiding the pantry for food, or as you're making dinner, you're snacking the whole time, so that by the time you finish making dinner, you're kind of like, well, I'm not really hungry. I've just had all of these snacks. But then you eat dinner anyway, because you're like, well, I just made it. Of course I'm going to eat dinner. And I'm sure a few of you are probably nodding in agreement. And don't worry, I've been there as well, right? I'm the definition of a busy woman as well. But there are things that we can do. And again, this sounds like a very simple strategy, but a planned, nourishing afternoon tea snack, a tub of yogurt, for a lot of you isn't going to cut it. It ideally needs to be something with a bit of protein, a bit of fiber, something that actually fills you up and lasts. Like if you're going to have this afternoon tea snack at say 3:30, 4 p.m. and dinner's not till, you don't start cooking dinner till 7, you don't eat till 7:30, that's a really long time. Like 4 or 5 hours to go between afternoon tea and dinner is a really long time. So it's no wonder that you hit dinner ravenous, or you're snacking as you're making dinner, or you get home and you're raiding the pantry like a crazy person because you're actually so hungry. So building out a proper balanced afternoon tea snack. And for some of my clients, I give them 2. I give them a snack around 2:33, and then I give them another snack around 4:35, because that's what they actually need to stay on track and to keep their blood sugar levels planned. So the key is that the afternoon tea snack needs to be planned and not reactive, because most of the time when we're eating, we're reacting to the cravings, we're reacting to the blood sugar dip or the blood sugar spike, and that's not a good place to be in. But if you've got a high protein breakfast, I'm going to assume you've got a good lunch in there, a planned default afternoon tea snack, you're planning rather than reacting to your blood sugars and to your craving levels. And that's a big difference in the women that succeed and those that don't. And then the final one is one of my favorites, and it is default number 3 is our default dinner. Now you've got 2 options here. On the busy, tired, stressful days, you can cook it. Some of you are laughing and you're like, fat chance, I'm not going to do that. Or you can order it in, right? But this is a dinner that you need to be able to repeat on autopilot without thinking, without getting challenged or swayed in another way where, another family member's like, let's get fish and chips or let's get KFC. If that doesn't align with your goals, you need to be able to be like, no, I need to do this in order to hit my goals and stay on track. Now, this is a picture of a burger. For any of you grilled fans out there, you will know, if you've ever seen on my stories, my family and I are big fans of grilled. We just don't like Macca's. We don't go to Macca's, but we love a burger and we do love grilled. This is not sponsored by Grilled, this masterclass. If they would like to sponsor me, that is absolutely okay. I'll happily take that on board. But this is one of my favorite burgers from Grilled. It's the mustard on pickle. So if you like mustard or you like pickled, this is a good one. And it clocks in around 2,200 kilojoules, which is roughly just over 500 calories. And some of you might think, oh my goodness, 500 calories, like I couldn't eat that and lose weight. The default dinner doesn't necessarily have to be in a calorie deficit. It is there to keep you on track and to keep you moving forward. Remember how I said that in a fat loss phase, you push and you pause. You push and you pause. If my family and I are ordering grilled for dinner, I'm probably not going to hit that as a deficit meal. I'm going to hit that as a pause meal. But the idea is, if I order a grilled burger, might have a few chips. Sometimes I might take the top off. Sometimes I might order it without cheese. Sometimes I might order a different burger altogether. But this is one of my go-to meals that I can repeat on autopilot, that I know still aligns with my goals. I know it's high protein. I know it's got some fresh veggies and salad in there. I know it's fairly good quality. It's not perfect, but it's fairly good quality. The ingredients at Grilled are far better than most other burger places, in my opinion. And I know that it's delicious, it's repeatable, and it's going to keep me on track. I would rather have something slightly higher calorie than try to stick to my, say, 400 calorie tuna salad and then blow out and eat half the pantry later on and consume 1,000 calories later on while I'm watching TV and I'm hoovering peanut M&Ms and, an ice cream and a glass of wine, right? This default dinner, it needs to be enjoyable. It needs to be something that you actually like, and there needs to be a couple of options for you. So Subway's an option for my family. It's tasty, I like it, it aligns with my goals. We've got this great Vietnamese place near us we can order from, like a Vietnamese rice paper noodle bowl, with a bit of chicken, like lemongrass chicken. That's something that aligns with my goals as well. It probably clocks in around that 500 calorie mark. And there's a Mexican place near me that we can get an option from as well. So I've got options that I can order in that I enjoy, that still align with my goals. And then if I want to cook something, which 50% of the time when I'm busy, tired, stressed, I might do, or might rope my hubby in, he's pretty good, he might help, and we'll do it together. Or we'll order it. But when I do cook something, I'm basically got stuff in the freezer, or I'm going through the supermarket and I might grab some salmon, a salad kit, and some frozen potato gems. A lot of you know that I'm obsessed with the potato gems. That's a repeat dinner where I've got protein as my salmon, I've got a salad bag as my veggies, the carbs, the potato gems, and there's a bit of fat from the salmon and the oil on the potato gems. So it's a balanced meal. You're not just going to cook pasta and parmesan because you're lacking the veggie and you're lacking the protein. You're not just going to whack some chicken nuggets in the air fryer with a bit of spinach because you're lacking that balanced meal. So the option as a cook option has to be balanced, and the order-in option has to be a little bit balanced as well. Like the burger, I'm not going to get that wrapped in a lettuce bun because it's lacking the carb component. And yes, it would be lower calorie. I see what you're thinking. Yes, I might be able to take the top off, wrap it in a bun, take off the sauce, take off the cheese. Yes, it might be lower calorie, but it's not enjoyable. And so I'm far more likely to want to go and raid the pantry later. When I eat this burger, with or without having a couple of chips from the kids' meal as well, I'm basically so satisfied that I don't need anything else for the night. I really, truly enjoy it. And that might not be you. You might not like burgers. You might not like grilled burgers. You might not be a fan of eating meat. Whatever it is, but you need to pick a default option that you can order in for yourself, that you truly enjoy, that keeps you aligned with your goals. And the best part is about this, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I've blown it. I've got to start again on Monday. I can't believe I did that. I've worked hard all week. I don't feel the need to reset. I'm not starting again on Monday. I'm just eating my burger. I'm enjoying the hell out of it. And I'm like, cool, I'm done. Let me set my alarm, get up to the gym, go do my work, go do my thing as normal the very next day. So this default number 3, the default dinner is a very, very powerful option, and too many of us are doing it, but we're not doing it right. We're not doing it with enough structure. If we're cooking it, we're just slapping together some stuff, but it's not really balanced and it's not thought about beforehand. And if we're ordering in, we're like, oh, well, screw it, I'm gonna order in. Let me get the burger with the chips and a side of fries and a milkshake or a glass of wine as well. So instead of that burger itself being 530 calories, the whole meal with all of the extras and the sides and one of those pots of aioli is like 100 calories. All of that all added up is like probably 1,000 calories plus, right? Your order in or dine out option, you might choose to go to the pub and you could get some grilled fish, ask for a half serve of chips and some salad versus ordering the palmy is going to be a very big difference in terms of the calorie cost or the calories absorbed after that meal. So don't let the ease of this slide fool you. It's a very, very powerful option, and most of us are doing it, but we're not doing it right. So optimize it, think about it, and actually make sure that it's satisfying for you, because the goal is to eat it and be done. We don't need to eat after dinner. We don't crave and eat food after we've had breakfast. Most of us don't. We don't crave and eat more food after we've had lunch, but for whatever reason, we finish dinner and then we're like, all right, what next? I'm still hungry. I need to have a treat. I need to have a snack. No, you don't. The reality is that most of us should be full after dinner. So this dinner option needs to be something that you enjoy. I can't stress that enough. It can't be, oh, I'm going to order in grilled fish and salad from the fish and chip shop, because it may fly once or twice, but it's probably not going to be something that you can repeat on autopilot again and again and actually still enjoy it or actually feel like you've nourished your soul that little bit as well. So you can't feel guilty afterwards. You can't have a reset. You can't think, oh, I'm starting over again. I'm trying to be good again. You just have to eat it, enjoy it, and move on, knowing that actually still aligns with your goals. And then after we do this, we come up with what I call the if-then plan. And it's a catchy little phrase, and it basically says that if life gets busy, then I will. If life gets busy, then I will. And we come up with a game plan where when the day goes sideways, this is what we do. It's a plan for when the plan breaks or when the plan falls apart. We don't just throw in the towel and think, oh, screw it, I'll start again tomorrow, or it's just too hard, I've blown it, I ate the cake at the work Christmas lunch or whatever, I've blown it, I'll just order Uber Eats tonight and I'll start again tomorrow, I'll start again on Monday. We don't do that, because you're not going to actually ever make enough progress towards your goal if you're doing that. So if life gets busy, then I will what? You need an if-then plan. Use my tired day defaults: high protein breakfast, planned afternoon snack, default automatic dinner you can order in that you enjoy. Keep one anchor in your day or in your weekend. We'll go through anchors in a minute. Don't just toss in the towel and say, screw it. Don't tell yourself you're going to get back on track the next meal or the next day. Just be back on track now. If the day's already gone sideways, if you've overeaten at lunch, you've gone out for a big work lunch and you've overdone it, come back and have a balanced dinner. You don't have to just write off dinner and then wait to start again tomorrow. So the goal here is not perfection. It's never been perfection. The goal is recovery speed. How quickly can we get back on track? Because you're not making progress because you had one burger. One salad doesn't make you healthy. One burger doesn't make you unhealthy. One big work lunch isn't going to derail your entire week. But if you think that you're now off track and then you continue to move and make decisions of you being off track, then you're off track. So one bad meal isn't what blows it out. It's the bad day, which then turns into the bad weekend, which turns into the I'm going to restart on Monday, which is where most of us are getting it wrong, basically. And that's what separates, or this slide in itself, the if-then plan, is what generally separates the women who can succeed with fat loss and those who just keep spinning their wheels and trying, but really never getting any traction. You're basically constantly feeling like you're starting over. You're trying, I see that, I hear that, you're constantly trying, but you're burning out from constantly restarting over and actually feeling like you're never actually getting any traction. Step 2 in the fat loss framework. So this is where some of that psychology behind the behaviors actually comes into play as well. So step 2 is about self-sabotage, and many of you know it well. myself included. But when I started implementing some of these easier fat loss framework tips, the self-sabotage certainly reduced a lot. I'm not going to say that, hey, the self-sabotage is going to go away forever. I still have moments where I'm standing in the pantry and I just think, oh, I could inhale that entire bag of Red Rock Deli potato chips. And sometimes I open the packet and I start eating them, but often I'll catch myself and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'll talk you through what happens in a moment. But with self-sabotage, it's about stopping the moment early, because most women, self-sabotage isn't about a whole day thing. Most of us aren't self-sabotaging the entire day. It's generally just one moment in time. And it generally happens for a lot of us at nighttime, or at the end of a really big event or work presentation, or after a big toddler meltdown. It basically happens when we're tired, we're overstressed, we're over hungry, we've accidentally or intentionally skipped a meal, or we're just emotionally checked out or done. So it's often at the end of the day, or after something really hard has happened, where you feel like you've just had to hold on for dear life or hold it all together for everybody else. Often this is where the self-sabotage moment happens. So the key is that we don't wait until you're knee deep in a bag of potato chips in the pantry, right? We don't wait to use your willpower then. It's too late. The key is that we spot the self-sabotage moment early, because once you recognize the pattern, you can begin to interrupt it. And winning when it comes to self-sabotage is about interrupting the pattern. It's not about saying it'll never happen, but it's about catching it early and interrupting the pattern, because you don't need to be perfect. As I said, it's not to say this will never happen. You just need to catch it early. So awareness is absolutely key when it comes to self-sabotage. So I've had clients that, will overeat the minute they get home from work. So what I've done is I've got them to put a big red ribbon on the pantry door. So because with self-sabotage, it's often, or with overeating in the moment, and that's linked back to self-sabotage, it's often that you're not really comprehending exactly what you're doing in the moment, or sometimes you are, but you're sort of on that autopilot, you're just eating. So I've had them put a big red ribbon around the pantry door, so when they're getting home from work, they're going straight into the pantry, they're not really thinking about it, they're just doing that on autopilot, because they're soothing their emotions, or they're tired, they're stressed, they're over hungry, and that big red ribbon can help their brain to kind of be like, why is there a ribbon on my pantry door? Oh, that's right, I need to take a breath, calm down, go get myself a drink of water, journal my feelings out, and then I can come back and prepare a balanced meal or a balanced snack, and not just randomly eat from the pantry. So your job is to interrupt the pattern. So if you always find that you eat chocolate after dinner every single night, perhaps don't buy the chocolate so it's not in the pantry. Perhaps put it in a different place. Perhaps put it within 3 separate boxes. So as you're opening all the boxes, your brain has a chance to get out of the autopilot automatic habit and actually thinking about, why did I put the chocolate within 3 layers or 3 different boxes? Oh, that's right, because I'm really trying to work through my emotions and not just, eat the chocolate every single night. So these are very, very simplistic examples. I understand that, but hopefully that gives you an idea of what is happening when the self-sabotage is happening. By the time you've done half the block of chocolate, it's 100 times harder to stop, whereas if you actually put some strategies in place and caught it earlier. So awareness is first, and that is the first thing in terms of self-sabotage. You've got to be aware of it. You've got to spot the pattern early. You've got to try and interrupt the pattern, which brings me to the next thing, which is nighttime cravings, which so many people struggle with as well. And again, cravings don't mean that you're a bad person. Cravings don't mean that there's something inherently wrong with you. A lot of people do blame willpower. Why am I not strong enough to avoid a craving? What's wrong with me? Why do I constantly feel like I need to eat after dinner? So it's often not a willpower problem. There's often a lot of reasons that can lead to cravings. And one of the biggest ones is simply that you've given yourself chocolate one night for whatever reason, because you felt like it, you wanted to reward yourself, whatever it was. Then you've done that again a second night. And then if you do that again a third night and a fourth night, you've basically programmed yourself into a habit. So a lot of nighttime cravings are actually just habit. And a lot of the other time it is because people haven't eaten enough throughout the day. they haven't built balanced meals. They haven't built satisfying meals. If you're going to have the same, tuna salad every single day for lunch, of course you're going to want to have half a block of chocolate at night time because you're bored. You're not satisfied. The meals you're actually eating are not enjoyable enough that you feel like you need to get comfort from other meals. And then another big one is that you're just emotionally depleted. You're done. You're checked out. You've got nothing left. You're running on empty, and you're just giving that body that self-soothing. So a lot of this matters because the solution depends on the cause. Are you eating it because you're trying to reward yourself? Are you eating it because you've had a bad day and you want to make yourself feel happy? Are you eating it because you've programmed it in and it's just a habit and your body craves it out of habit now? Are you eating it because you're just exhausted and you're looking for a bit of a pick-me-up and the sugar, gives you that little bit of a lift? So often if you can find out what the cause is, it's easy enough to come up with a solution. Because I really urge you to think about cravings as data, like how an accountant would think about a number. Think about it like that, like actually break it down. Like a craving is a data. It's not about you. It's not a personal failure. It just is something to interpret. Like, why am I having this craving? What is my body actually asking me for? Often the body is looking for nourishment, but that nourishment doesn't have to come from food. But often what is happening to busy women is every single time we have a craving, we are using food, or for some people alcohol, to numb or take care of that craving. So food or alcohol is the only tool in your toolkit. And every single time you are emotionally tired, depleted, stressed out, you're boredom eating, you're emotionally eating, every single time, if food is the only tool you have in your toolkit and you are using that every single time, that is where we have an issue. I don't really have an issue with sometimes my clients are like, I just really want to eat it, or I just feel like it. I'm like, no problem. But if every night you're stressed and you're exhausted and you're wanting craving sugar every single night, and the only tool you're using is food, that's where you can run into problems, right? But if sometimes having a warm shower and giving yourself a pedicure works, if sometimes reading a book and putting yourself to bed early works, if sometimes, having something else, a warm glass of milk works, you can have other solutions. It's only when the nighttime craving, it's food is your, vice or the fix every single time. It's the only tool in the toolkit. That's where I have a lot of problems with clients because it's really, really difficult to unravel that. So trying to get some more tools in your toolkit can be really, really helpful at this time. So night cravings also link to emotional eating, which we'll just touch on really quickly as well. And I like to teach my clients what I call the pause and permission method. So this is basically about not saying I can't have it, I'm trying to be good, I'm not allowed it, because the minute that you restrict something, your brain basically wants it more. And I always use this example with my clients where I say, if you and I are sitting having coffee and I say to you, oh my goodness, there's this beautiful red Ferrari behind you, don't look at it, don't look at it. All your brain wants to do is like, look behind your shoulder and look for that beautiful red Ferrari, right? The minute you tell yourself you can't do something, like if I say to my toddler, don't jump on the couch, hands down, all they're gonna want to do is jump on the couch. But I've got to redirect them in another way. The minute you tell your brain don't do something, you're gonna want it 10 times more. If you say to yourself, I'm really craving chocolate, I can't have the chocolate, I'm not allowed, you're gonna crave it 10 times more. You're just gonna make it so much harder for yourself. So the pause and permission method is about allowing yourself to have it, but taking a pause first to check in with your body and actually work out what emotion is going on here. So for 10 minutes, pause, name the feeling. I'm feeling super stressed. I'm just so exhausted. I'm feeling like I need to reward myself because I've just solo parented all night and I've got the kids to bed and now I feel like I deserve a treat. Name the feeling. Then rate the urge. Is this like a 10 out of 10 craving? Or is this more like a 6 out of 10? Like I really want it. I want it, but I might be able to redirect myself. So rate the urge and then sit there and breathe. And some of my clients like to, put the hand over the heart. Some of them like to put it on the belly. Do some deep belly breathing and give yourself 10 minutes. Set a timer if you need to. Just pausing is so incredibly powerful when it comes to cravings and it comes to emotional eating because it allows the urge to drop down. Often I'll have clients say, oh my gosh, I need chocolate, I need it right now, I have to have it. And they're like, it's 10 out of 10. And I'll make them go and do a 10 or a 20-minute pause. And they might come back and they'll say, I feel so much better. I really focused on my breathing. I did some journaling, and now I still want it, but it's like 6 out of 10. No problem. Because when you give yourself permission, we want that to be planned and not chaotic. I want my client to eat it, but I want them to eat a portion of it, not the entire block. Because I can work a portion of chocolate into their plan and still help them achieve fat loss. It's very difficult for me to work an entire block of chocolate into their plan every single night, right? So give yourself permission, make it planned. And then the other thing I want you to do is, if you are going to have it, again, you're giving yourself permission, you're allowed to have it, but I want you to eat it without any distractions. If you're just humming on chocolate in front of Netflix, of course you're going to overeat it. It's like a bucket of popcorn at the movies. You're just eating it, and then you're like, you get to the bottom and your hand hits the bottom and you're like, how did I eat that whole bucket of popcorn? Like, you're not paying attention. So I want you to turn off any distractions, and when you do eat it, you're giving yourself permission. It's okay to eat some chocolate, but when you do eat it, you can't do it distracted. You can't do it when the kids are yelling at you. You can't do it when Netflix is in the background or you're scrolling through TikTok, because you're distracted and your brain doesn't have time to recognize that you've actually eaten it. It's incredible the amount of times that people eat and they don't even taste their food. Like, I often say to my clients, how did it taste? And they're like, oh, it was good. I'm like, no, how did it taste? Was it crunchy? Was it salty? Could you taste the fresh herbs in there? And they just look at me like I'm crazy, because we eat so quickly and we don't ever pay attention to our food, and we're never really tasting it. If you're not tasting the treat, if you're not tasting the chocolate or the chips or ice cream or whatever it is, if you're not tasting it, your brain never has time to appreciate that you've actually eaten it. Therefore, you're probably going to overeat it or continue to eat far more than you actually wanted. So the pause and permission method is twofold. It's pausing to allow the intensity of the craving to drop down and to nourish that body a little bit. Not nourish it with food, but nourish it with something that it needs. A little bit of self-care, a little bit of deep breathing. Take yourself out of that flight or fight response and calm down the nervous system a little bit. And then when you do give yourself permission to eat it, you're doing that on purpose. You're not feeling guilty for it. You're allowed to eat it, but you're actually tasting it, and you're enjoying it, and you're savoring it, and then you just move on afterwards. It gets you out of that binge restrict diet cycle loop that we talked about in the first place. This is a very, very powerful side. It will take work. If you're someone that really struggles with emotional eating or nighttime cravings, this will take a while. It's often done with the support of an expert, like a dietitian, like a psychologist, can be very, very helpful. But this is a really easy strategy that I do use with a lot of my clients. And then the last one, I feel like, I did say I was going to talk about anchors, is kind of that weekend reset diet culture. So we've talked about, some automatic things that we can do during the week. We've talked about cravings, we've talked about nighttime eating, and the last one we probably need to touch on, which holds a lot of busy women back, is weekends. Right? You're good all week, you kind of lose control on the weekend, or you go off track and you feel like you deserve it because it's the weekend, you've been so good all week, and then you get to Sunday night, you feel guilty, and that kind of diet reset Monday culture kicks in, and it's a really big thing that is holding a lot of busy women back. So anchors are what I call a couple of non-negotiables that keep you connected to your routine. I'm not saying what you need to do on Saturday and Sunday needs to be exactly the same as what you do on a Monday or Tuesday. I'm not saying that. You can have fun on your weekends. You can let go of the structure a little bit, but you still need some structure on your weekends. And this is where anchors come in. The weekends can't be a free-for-all. It can't just be completely like all off track and then you're starting again on Monday. That's why you're not making any progress. There needs to be a bit of structure there, or there needs to be a bit of anchors there. A few non-negotiable things that actually keep you on track. So anchors I really like are the protein focused breakfast. So if you've got kids sport all Saturday, prep a overnight protein pudding and take it with you to the kids sporting event. So you're not there for hours on a Saturday morning and then you're munching on the hot chips that you get the kids after sport at 11 o'clock because you haven't eaten anything. Plan one movement block or one exercise block in over the weekend. And for busy women, this is really difficult because they feel like their weekend should be something that they get to enjoy. Do your exercise and do your workout and then enjoy the rest of the weekend. There's a lot of hours in that weekend. Plan in a 30-40 minute workout and it would go so far to actually keeping you on track. Another big anchor, you don't have to do these anchors, but these are ones that I feel work really well to maintain a bit of structure for my clients across the weekend. It's a normal dinner. The amount of times I have clients that say, particularly where they live in, places like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, it's nice to eat out often. A lot of times I have clients who might live a little bit more rurally, and it's a lot easier for them to stay on track over the weekend because they're not eating out every Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So across that Thursday to Sunday, at a minimum, one normal dinner. Even if it means that you have to say to your friends, hey, come to mine, I'll cook us a homemade lasagna or something. Like, have a normal dinner at least once planned in over that busy weekend, and have a plan for alcohol. Don't just go to the pub with your friends and say, oh, I'm going to try to have just one drink. What does Yoda say? Do or do not. There is no try. So actually have a plan. Say to yourself, I'm only going to have one drink, or I'm not drinking at all, or I'm going to have 2 or 3 drinks and that's it, and then I'm going home. I'm not staying at the pub till 2 a.m. because nothing good happens after midnight. I'm probably preaching to the wrong crowd here. I think we're a bit too old to be out at the pub at 2 a.m. Well, I certainly am anyway. But those weekend anchors can be a very, very powerful way to keep you on track and to keep you making progress. And speaking about progress, we do need some progress. If the goal is fat loss, you probably do need to be weighing yourself, or at least getting someone to do some form of measurements or a DEXA scan. You can do calipers, skin folds if you want, but you need to be tracking progress in some way if the goal is fat loss. So yes, you can use the scale. Don't weigh yourself daily. It just messes with your head. Once or twice a week is more than enough, but look for trends. As busy women, we have hormones. The weight is always going to fluctuate. If it's ovulation week, if it's period week, for some of us the weight will go up, but it will come back down again. So don't get too attached to a number. I really love clothing. I really love progress photos. I showed you my progress photos in my postpartum fat loss phase after I had my daughter Matilda. I find that really, really powerful to take a photo of myself once a month and actually look at how my body composition is changing, not just the number on the scale. I have a lot of clients who love tracking things like their energy levels, if their cravings are getting better. Again, the goal isn't to never have a craving. It's to be able to take the 10 out of 10 cravings and drop them down to say 5 out of 10 and be able to manage them a lot easier. How's your mood? How's your digestion? How's your hair, skin, and nails? You can rate your consistency across the week, but you need to track something, and often I like multiple things. You might use progress photos, the scale, and tracking your energy and digestion, or you might use how your clothes are fitting, a DEXA scan every 6 months. There's multiple ways that we can track progress, but you have to track your progress in some way, and some way that isn't just the scale. Do not just use the scale weight to track your progress, because progress can look like so many different things, irrespective of what the number says on the scale. Progress is having fewer blowout nights, having fewer nights where you've eaten half the pantry. It's having weekends feel more normal and in control. It's having better digestion and not going to bed feeling heavy and bloated all the time. It's feeling more in control around food when you go out to a party or when you go out celebrating. It's feeling more consistent even on the really tired days. So these are all markers of progress before the scale even moves sometimes. So write a couple of these down, or take a photo of this slide, because this is a really powerful slide that can show you that you're making progress in the right direction from a fat loss perspective, but perhaps the number isn't showing you what you want this week, and that is absolutely okay. We're not doing it just because of the number. We're doing it because of this, because overall we feel better in our body and in our mind, and we are absolutely making progress. So I urge you to move away from just focusing entirely on the number on the scale and to actually begin to track progress in a few other areas as well. All right, so if you want some help implementing some of these things, and if you stay to the end, the slide after this one will be my simple 7-day action plan that you can start for tomorrow. But quickly, I wanted to tell you about Lean Gut Mind Method. It is my premium one-on-one fat loss coaching program for women. It is an investment in you. It is an investment in your health. It is an investment in your future and your family's future. It is long-term change. It is not a quick fix. You will need to work hard. You will need to push through some uncomfortable things, but that is where the magic happens. So if you actually want results that stick, if you want daily support and daily accountability from your dietitian, there aren't any shortcuts here. We've got to do the hard work, but that hard work can get you incredible incredible results. So Lean Gut Mind Method, you can apply online, you can book a discovery call with my team. We will review your application, we'll talk you through the program, answer any of your questions, go through the pricing structure and match you with the best coach. The only way to work with me is through Lean Gut Mind Method. I don't work in the virtual clinic online. That is option 2, is the Leanne Ward Nutrition Virtual Clinic. If you want a lower touch option that doesn't give the daily contact, it's not sort of that premium daily contact for 12 weeks. Lean Gut Mind Method is 12 weeks. If you want something that's a bit lower touch, book a appointment with my team through the Leanne Ward Nutrition Virtual Clinic. And then option 3, you've got my podcast, Leanne Ward Nutrition or The Nutrition Couch. I've got 2 podcasts. You can watch the replay. This will become available after the webinar on Wednesday night. Or you can look at my Instagram. There's tons of inspiration there as well. So you've got multiple options to, help you implement some of these things. And just quickly before we get to your 7-day plan, I've got some testimonials from past Lean Gut Mind Method clients. This is literally the best thing I've done in a long time, is come on the program with you. I can't believe after 25 years of binging, stressing and yo-yo dieting, I've finally worked out what it means to be lean. I could scream with joy. I'm in such a better place now thanks to your advice. I've mentioned your program to everyone who asks. I'm also enjoying the weekly lives. We did it. We hit my goal weight, 62.9. I can't thank you enough. When I started this journey with you, I had major reservations in me, not you, but I fully trusted you and the process, and I'm so thrilled with where I am today. I just wish I'd started it sooner. You and your program and your support has changed everything about my life, and I'm so grateful I took the leap and I committed. You're amazing. I appreciate everything you've done. I'm so happy with how far I've come and the progress that I've made, and I'm so happy that I was able to work with you through this journey. I'm so proud of how fit I am. I feel fabulous, light, energetic, no longer out of control. I'm enjoying my soul foods, super organized. You are a magician. The best investment I've ever made in my personal health. I'm 12 months on and I'm still strong and maintaining my fat loss goals. I've had so many compliments from so many people about how good, healthy and well I look. I bought an entire wardrobe, 2 sizes smaller. It's such a good reinforcement. I'm never going back there. Everyone at work is noticing and asking for your details. I no longer have to hide in family photos. You have completely transformed the way I eat in the best possible way. Listen to your potty this morning. Always find them so informative. I'm so glad I did your program. It's the best money I ever spent. I am so happy. I do not feel hungry. I have more energy, and this is the lowest weight I've been in 4 years. I'm definitely not starving. I love your volume approach to eating. This is truly the best quote unquote diet I've ever been on. The best couple of weeks of food and eating. So great that my mindset has shifted. It's honestly the first time I think since I was 18, this lady was in her late 30s, that I've ever felt not deprived or obsessing about food. I'm getting so many compliments, and the best bit is that I've lost the weight slowly while still eating pasta. So these are real busy women who have gone through Lean Gut Mind Method and transformed their life. Finally, your next 7-day plan. So this isn't to say that you just do this for 7 days and you fall off the wagon, but this gives you some actionable things that you can do right now. Like I said, I wasn't running this webinar to tell you about your calories. I'm not running this webinar to tell you about protein. I'm not running this webinar to give you recipe inspiration. You can find all of that online. I'm running this webinar to really nut out what are the biggest things that busy women struggle with, what holds them back, and why they're not being consistent. If you can take this next 7 days, implement this plan and rinse and repeat for good, you will actually start to make some traction for your goals. And if you want some support, like I said, apply at Lean Gut Mind Method or jump onto leannewardnutrition.com and book a virtual clinic appointment from anywhere in the world with one of my dietitians on my team. So next 7 days, days 1 to 2. Today is Sunday. You can do Sunday and Monday. You can do Monday, Tuesday. You choose. What we're going to do is work on your 3 defaults: a high protein breakfast, a planned afternoon tea snack, and a default automatic dinner, right? Choose your 3 defaults, set and repeat. You might be eating the same thing for breakfast 2-3 days in a row, the same snack 2-3 days, and the same dinner for 2-3 days. You're not going to do that forever. Then rotate your choice. Like I will often eat the same thing for 2 or 3 days, then I rotate. So across the week, I'm eating 2 or 3 different breakfasts, 2 or 3 different lunches. It just makes it easier. Like I know I have some women who are like, I don't like to eat the same thing every day. I just think suck it up and get it done. Like, this is fat loss. It doesn't have to be every single thing is like, sometimes we just make it so much harder than it actually needs to be. When you have defaults and you're eating the same thing, even if it's just for 2 days, it just makes it so much easier for you to stay on track. So that's day 1 and 2. Choose your defaults and be really conscious and action them and make it happen, basically. Days 3 to 4, I want you to start thinking about, what are my weekend anchors? And for a lot of us, the weekend should probably start on Friday. What am I going to do across Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to ensure that I actually stay on track, mostly, stay pretty consistent, and keep moving forward towards my goals, or at the very least, hit pause. Remember, push and pause, push and pause. You don't always have to be in a calorie deficit achieving fat loss. You can pause if you've got a big social weekend, if you want to enjoy yourself, but don't completely blow out and undo all the hard work you've done Monday to Thursday. So build in a high protein breakfast, have one movement block, have one normal dinner, have a plan for your alcohol, look up the menu in advance, build some weekend anchors into your weekend. And days 5 to 7, this is the harder one to do. We're gonna practice when it comes to cravings and emotional eating. We're gonna practice the pause and permission method. We're gonna give yourself permission to eat the treat, but not permission to blow out. This isn't an all-out binge fest. We're just gonna have a little, we're gonna enjoy it, and we're gonna give ourselves permission to do that tomorrow if we want to. But firstly, you've got to pause. You've got to do some breathing. You've got to work through the emotion and try to reduce the intensity of the craving. If you plan the treat, you can stop the spiral. Right, that's days 5 to 7. So 1 to 2 is choose your defaults, 3 to 4, add your weekend anchors, and days 5 to 7, practice the pause and permission method. Right, ladies, I know I ran a bit over time. I could probably talk for another couple of hours. I won't do that to you. Go and enjoy your Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me on the how to lose weight and actually maintain it long term. The first ever free masterclass that I've run. I really hope that it was enjoyable. I hope that you learned something. And please don't just listen and go away and do nothing. Go grab a pen and paper and sit down for 10 minutes before you go back to the chaos that is life and write out a little action plan. It might be the 7-day action plan that we just talked about. It might be something totally different. I said something or I popped something up on a slide that just made you think about that, and you thought, yeah, that's actually what I need to do, or that is the one thing that's holding me back right now. So as dietitians, we always like to say, what is the lowest hanging fruit? What can I do that's going to give me the biggest bang for my buck and make the biggest impact long term? Have a think about that and go and do that, and just focus on that until you can start to make some traction and be consistent with that longer term, and then choose something else. Don't go and try and overhaul everything, because by Thursday, everything will go sideways. So really have a think about the things that we talked about today and what's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, and work on that for the next couple of days if you don't want to action the 7-day action plan. All right, ladies, that is all I have for you today. The replay will be available after the Wednesday night masterclass. If you want, you're more than welcome to show up to the Wednesday night masterclass as well. It is obviously the same content, but you're welcome to show up if you would just like another refresher for that as well. But if not, enjoy your Sunday, enjoy your weekend, and thank you so much for joining me on today's masterclass.